I'm going to call to order the regular council meeting for May 9th at 7 p.m. And if you would please join me in national anthem, or national anthem, Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. All right, we were contacted also that Council President Drake would not be here this evening, so, and also that if there are not any objections, we're going to have Councilman Steve Horniak be President Pro Tem. Any objections? All right, it's yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. We'll start into our meeting with the roll call of council, please.
Mrs. Ackerman? Here. Mr. Andrus?
Here.
Mr. Gibbs? Here. Mr. Horniak?
Here.
Mrs. Pauloff? Here.
Thank you, council. Please note that 5 members of council are present. Mr. Wallenczak and Mr. Drake did reach out to me today to let me know they couldn't be here this evening. I would seek a motion to excuse both of their absences.
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. We have motion second. Any objections? Thank you. Both council members are excused from tonight's meeting. Moving on into the minutes. We have the minutes from the February 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting. Council.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Seconded by Mrs. Pauloff. Motion by Mr. Gibbs, seconded by Mrs. Pauloff to approve the minutes as presented. Council, any objections? Hearing none, minutes are accepted as presented. Moving on to our first item, which is persons and delegations, and I believe we're going to go to the mayor for a proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to be making a proclamation here establishing it as Development Disabilities Awareness Month for March of 2026. So I'll just read what the proclamation states. The National Association of Council on Development Disabilities have declared Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, celebrated in March, and this year's theme is We're Here, Then, Now, Always. And whereas this month is intended to raise awareness about the inclusion of children and adult individuals with developmental disabilities in society, highlight the barriers they face, encourage conversations about how to support their full participation, advocate for necessary change to remove obstacles they encounter, and to be aware and celebrate their contributions to our community. And whereas we all have a responsibility as individuals, neighbors, businesses, community members, and citizens of Oregon, Lucas County, Ohio, to work for inclusion, equality, recognition, and appreciation of their skills, views, and abilities. And whereas it is recognized that no one person can do everything, but everyone can do something, and together we can create change for the better. And whereas the City of Oregon applauds and supports Lucas County's Board of Developmental Disabilities for its dedicated work and vital services and programs provided to individuals with development disabilities in the City of Oregon and Lucas County. And now, therefore, I, Stephen Salander, by the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of Oregon, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mayor. And I believe from the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities, we have Nabil Shaheen. Did I get that right?
Almost, but I'll give it to you.
All right, we'll take it then. Please just state your name and your address for the record, please. Business address is fine.
My name is Nabil Shaheen, and the business address is the county board address of 1154 Lark Lane in South Toledo. And just want to thank and commend Mr. Mayor and council here for this small token that recognizes DD Awareness Month. It is very important and vindicates the work that we do, the thousands of individuals that we serve, and as the theme states, that Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities has been here then, is here now, and with the support of councils like yours, voters like these, we hope to be here for a long, long time. So on behalf of the superintendent of the board, Michelle Meyerholtz, who could not be here because the Proclamation Road Tour continues in other villages and cities, so we're just dividing up duties tonight. The 5,000 individuals that we serve and the thousands and thousands of people connected to them, we thank you for this proclamation and taking some time to recognize this very important work that we are doing in allowing individuals to reach their full potential. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you
If you
very
don't mind,
much.
I'd like to get a picture. Would that be okay? Sure.
Steve. Thank you all. While we're settling back in, my apologies to administration. I do also want to announce that joining us this evening at the meeting is Mayor Steve Salander, Acting City Administrator Paul Roman, Clerk of Council Josette Snyder, Acting Law Director China Pfeiffer, Acting Public Service Director Rodney Schultz, Police Chief Brandon Began, Assistant Police Chief Ryan Spangler, Finance Director Nick Roman, and IT Director Ken Meister is here with us this evening as well. Moving on, we'll go through the rest of our persons and delegations. Okay, first is Jim Davis. Mr. Davis, name and address for the record, please.
Jim Davis, 5494 Bayshore Road. First, I would like to acknowledge Mayor Solander's call for a citizens advisory group to study and advise on the proposed data center. I'm confident that within Oregon, we have many experts with the required skills to understand and address the many concerns that have been raised by the community in the year since this project was proposed. But the key to the success of this effort is full transparency by the developer and the OEDF. The time for secrecy on this project is over. The proverbial cat is now out of the bag. I'm confident with the local opposition to this project, we would not have gotten the answers we need and continue to need about the impact this project would have on our community. It was not very long ago that I made a public information request to the OEDF about the negotiations around this project and was told in no uncertain terms by their attorney that I was not entitled to that information. I'm telling you all now that answer will not fly anymore. If this pattern continues, then it will prove to the citizens that they do not value the opinions of the community and will not make a good partner and corporate citizen to Oregon. This morning I posted an informational article about this project on Facebook. There are a couple of inaccuracies as I pointed in the post. I did not write this article, nor do I know who did, but it's an indication that the eyes of the world are watching this process play out here in Oregon. The article points out that public pressure has played an important role in getting the answers the public needs to determine whether or not any possible benefits outweigh the large impact this development and any other future projects may have on our community. During the last council meeting, I listened with interest to the presentation about the comprehensive plan. What struck me most was that the feedback from this community was that Oregon values its agricultural heritage and small town feel. While there is time and place for development, we need to understand what sets Oregon apart from other local communities. We do not have a quaint downtown like Maumee or Perrysburg, and try as we might, the Town Center project will not achieve that goal. What we do have is a thriving local resource every spring as we welcome thousands of local visitors to watch the vast array of migratory species that stop in this area on their long journey to and from their summer homes. And many local species give us the pleasure of observing them up close as they nest in this area. We cannot afford to ignore or in any way to jeopardize that in the rush to bring economic development to Oregon. These species come year after year and count on this area as a rest stop on their long journey north. Moving wetlands or destroying habitat that they have visited year after year for rest and food can and will have an effect on these species. Lastly, the vote by council to grant an extension, however controversial, does give us time to explore the option of a public vote or initiative, get an initiative on the ballot to judge whether this community is in favor of or against this project. I would urge this council to seriously consider this option, since your job is to listen to the public and to represent them to the best of your ability and not to let self-interest or outside influences cloud your judgment. There are a couple of pertinent issues statewide that affect this. One is the pending possible veto of the sales tax and use exemption for of 5.75% of the cost of equipment. That veto override is expected in March of 2026. House Bill 706 requires data centers to pay for 85% of the cost of their expected energy use for 12 years, with penalties if the data center closes. And House Bill 695 prohibits signing of NDAs by any public officials on economic development projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. We have Laura Davis. As usual, just name and address for the record, please.
Laura Davis, 5494 Bay Shore Road. There have been many posts about the latest carrot offered by the data center developers. A direct quote from the letter that was sent home with the student states, Capacity LLC has expressed strong interest in providing a restricted, highlight on the word restricted, donation of $500,000 to support the development of an electrical, plumbing, mechanical, data center trades instructional program at Clay High School. Another quote from the letter, should the data center project receive final approval, this donation is contingent on if the data center goes through. To some, it translates as, this is yet another desperate manipulation tactic. They again are playing on the hopes of people who only see dollar signs. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the construction trades. Clay has a lot of trade programs. The problem here is that we citizens, well, those who have done research on data centers and the negative impact it will have on the community, do not want a data center in Oregon. We have been fighting for this for months now. This money was offered by Capacity LLC with strings attached. It will only be given if the data center goes through. This is a manipulative ploy to gain support for the data center. They are using our kids and their parents to push for the data center. The kids have many options to do building trades. I absolutely support young people learning skills that will provide them with earning potential. What I am opposed to is the desperate attempts by data center developers to push it through by using and manipulating, bribing, and playing people. It is dirty tactics. It is sad that so many people can be bought. Again, this is not about opposition for learning building trades. Also, has anyone considered the cost of starting up these suggested programs? There would be construction of the added space, cost of all the equipment, cost of highly skilled instructors that are going to demand high pay for their expertise. This contingent $500,000 would not even be enough to do such a program. Another thing to consider is the time factor. It would take years to get these classes up and running. If the data center actually does get built, it would probably be done before these kids are graduated and trained. As someone also pointed out on my post, once the data center is done, they will not be needed in our area. They will have to work elsewhere outside of Oregon. As I have stated before, I have nothing against union workers or skilled trades. I appreciate that they have learned a trade that supports their families. This proposal came only after the developers' desperation and realization that the opposition may be winning. People need to look at the long-term negative effects a data center will have on the environment and our community versus the money. This is how this issue came about in the first place. The developers come into small towns dangling a carrot, offering money in lieu of taxes. The past city officials were all in, seeing only dollar signs. Then some of us started doing research and discovered the consequences of having a data center in our area. This has been an ongoing battle. I have said that these data center complexes are like cockroaches. There is never just one. Once you allow one, there are always more, and more land is needed for the expansion. When is it enough? The relentless tactics that were used by the developers in the past are no longer working. The public has been made aware and more knowledgeable. Going back to the cockroach example, the lights have been turned on and the roaches are scattering into the woodwork. Just as the data center is not a done deal, developers are like the cockroaches waiting in the woodwork. I want to thank those who have listened to our concerns and have voted against the data center. We appreciate being heard. If a city does not want a data center, they should not have a data center. Again, this is not about opposition for learning building trades.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. We have Connie Trudell. And as always, name and address for the record, please.
Connie Trudell, 5046 Dove Road. I read Mr. Paul Roman's report on the data center tour in New Albany, Ohio on 2/24/26. My husband and I were scheduled to go on this tour, but we were not properly notified, so we were unable to attend. I've personally traveled to New Albany, Ohio on multiple occasions in recent years to visit family. New Albany, Ohio and Oregon, Ohio are not one and the same. There is a different combination of industries in the two communities, as well as different geography and different weather conditions, to name a few. Mr. Paul Roman cited a noise reading of 50 decibels. How was this reading taken and was the device calibrated? It is important to note that this noise reading was taken on a cold winter day when the data center air conditioning systems were not running at full force. Decibel readings can vary based upon the season of the year, underlying weather conditions, and the time of the day, to name a few of the variables. Are there plans to return on hot, humid days in the summer to take more readings? Was there a noise frequency level taken? If so, what was the reading? How was this measured, and was the device calibrated? Are there plans to visit other data centers in Ohio to collect such noise readings? Mr. Paul Roman mentioned in his report that there has been a total of 4 noise complaints over 15 years in New Albany, Ohio from the data centers. What were the surrounding details of these complaints, such as the time of day, season of the year, as well as the etiologies and the ultimate solutions? Respectfully, it is important to mention that this information gathered from the data center tour on 2/24/26 is not empirical data based upon scientific research. Have there been any formal noise studies and noise frequency analyses done on data centers for us to review? We are in need of long-term scientific research studies done on the human health, environmental effects, and community impacts of data centers. Such studies can take decades to complete. In my opinion, there should be a halt on further data center construction until such research studies are done. The power of sound and the wavelength of sound are not the same. Decibels measure the power or loudness of sound. Hertz measure the wavelength or vibration of sound. There can be combination of decibels, combinations of frequencies, and combinations of decibels and frequencies. These combinations impact the ultimate loudness and vibration of the sound. According to an article entitled Noise and Mental Health, Evidence, Mechanisms, and Consequences in the Journal of Exposure Science and Environmental Epidemiology, dated January 2025, quote, "Noise is one of the most ubiquitous environmental pollutants, as suggested by reports from the World Health Organization and European Environment Agency that noise exposure is a major public health threat affecting both physical and mental health," unquote. Noise exposure contributes to inflammation and oxidative stress to the central nervous system, dysregulation of the immune system, disruption of circadian rhythms, and organ damage. Noise pollution has been linked to hearing impairment, insomnia, dementia, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, respiratory disease, and cancer. Furthermore, noise pollution has also been linked to depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and suicide. The two major means by which noise pollution affects human health, there are two major means by which noise pollution affects human health. One is a direct mechanism of very high decibel readings of over 100 decibels, which damage the inner ear. The second is an indirect mechanism of decibel readings in the range of 50 to 70, which can disrupt sleep, impair functioning during the day, and affect communication. This has been linked to both mental health and medical conditions. According to a systematic review entitled health issues caused by data center noise from peacefulpeculiar.org, quote, "The CDC warns a noise not loud enough to cause hearing damage can still cause stress, anxiety, and even heart disease when continuously exposed to it," unquote. The constant low-grade hum from a data center is 24/7. This low-grade frequency is particularly problematic for the health of our brains and bodies. Low-frequency sound has been shown to impact cardiovascular, central nervous system, auditory, visual, and endocrine health in the human body. Lower decibel sound is harmful as well. Quote, "When you're trying to sleep quietly in your bedroom, the sound levels should be close to silence, approximately 30 decibels," unquote. Furthermore, the decibel scale is logarithmic, not linear, which means 60 decibels is twice as loud as 50, unquote. I am deeply troubled by the thought of my family, friends, neighbors, church members, and Oregon residents overall being part of a large and costly experiment of having a data center in the midst of our community. Do we want to be part of a wait-and-see approach to determine how we and our environment, including our abundant wildlife, will be affected? In my mind, the potential risks of the data center project are far too great to justify this type of experiment on our human and environmental health. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trudell. A.B. Mottmiller.
Miller, 5040 Corduroy Road. Council members, I want to begin by acknowledging most of the questions raised by the residents at the town hall meeting in November finally have begun to receive answers. That effort by Will Turner is appreciated, but it must also be said that it has taken far too long to get them. When a proposal has the potential to shape the future of our community for decades, information should not be something that residents have to chase down. It should come early, clearly, and completely so that decisions can be made with a full understanding of the impact. Some members of this council recently toured the outside of a data center facility in New Albany, Ohio. Seeing a facility firsthand can be helpful, but it also is important to recognize the limits of what an outside tour actually shows. From the outside, you do not see the continuous mechanical operations inside those buildings. You do not experience the low-frequency vibrations the residents near the facility like this often report. And you do not see the scale of the electrical infrastructure, cooling systems, and backup generators required to operate them. An outside tour provides a visual reference only, but it does not answer many of the questions residents still have. In the response on February 26 by Mr. Turner, he said, and I quote, "Wetland avoidance preferred, mitigation proposed if avoidance is not feasible. Instead, it would be removed and mitigation credits issued somewhere else. But those are Oregon wetlands. Those are Oregon animals, migratory birds, amphibians, and wildlife that depend on the habitat as part of this ecosystem. A wetland is not empty land. It is a living system. You cannot erase living habitat here and replace it with credits elsewhere." A few months ago, I stood here before this council and shared research that I had found that many data center companies offer money to schools but attach conditions directly to how that money must be used. When I made that statement, I believe I was told that was incorrect. But today I have Exhibit A. The superintendent's letter discussing the possibility of $500,000 contributions from Capacity LLC for new programs to shows exactly that situation. Programs such as pipe fitter, electrical, and welding require specialized facility equipment, certified instructors, and ongoing operations. Programs like that require millions of dollars to establish and create continued annual expenses. At a time when our schools are already dealing with state funding cuts, this is a serious commitment. And it brings me to something that must be said clearly. Our children should never be used as leverage in negotiations. Our schools should never be treated as bargaining chips. If a company truly wants to support the children of this community, the answer is simple. Be a good neighbor, make a donation, but do not attach conditions that dictate how our schools must use it. Let the educators decide where it best fits. And if this project truly has the level of support that some believe it does, then there's a simple solution. Let the people vote. Because this is their city, their environment, their schools, and their future. There is one more concern that deserves clarity before decisions move forward. We have heard from individuals, from an individual familiar with data center development who says that facilities of this type often require far more land than what is currently being discussed in Oregon. If that is true, then that information matters, because being discussed with one footprint and expanding later is not transparency. If additional land will be ultimately required, and the community deserves to know that up front, not after the process has already moved forward. So tonight I asked for something simple. Poll this council. Not a debate, not another long discussion, just a clear statement from each member of this body. Do you support a data center project east of Wynn Road or not? Because decisions like this will not just shape the land use map, it will shape the future of this community for generations. And that is something every member of this council should think about very carefully. Can we poll council?
There's not a requirement to do so, but if anybody wants to share their thoughts, go right ahead.
Ms. Montmiller?
Yes?
I would not support a data center east, any development east of Wynn Road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montler. We have
Ms. Montler?
Mayor.
I know I'm not part of council, but I do not support a data center or development east of Wynn.
Thank you. We have Diane Thorne. And Ms. Thorne, if you just, your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. Diane Thorne, 326 North Wynn. Good evening. I'd like to respond to a city council person's comment on Facebook regarding my husband and mine's decision to move to our current home due to my meningioma brain tumor that sits on two of the nerves that, in my auditory nerves. You mentioned that your home is located near high-tension wires installed during the construction of Davis-Besse in 1960. Those high-tension wires were certainly there when you moved into your home. I'd like to point out that my husband and I moved into our home over 10 years ago, and the area was primarily farmland. You also noted that the location of the data center has been in urban planning for an industrial area since the 1960s. Although there have been many intentions for industrial use, plans from decades ago are not always implemented as originally planned. City planning, according to the Journal of American Planning Association, often changes over 50% of the time, and long-term plans are frequently not fully implemented as written. One would have thought that by Eagles Landing being built where it is, the vision for Oregon had changed to maintain its bedroom community status. You also mentioned that Synovus is 2 miles from my home, which is considerably farther than the 500 feet the proposed data center would be. As well as the location of the methane plant, you also pointed out that the previous city administration allowed EnviroSafe to house the toxic waste from the East Palestine train derailment. Regarding EnviroSafe and the methane plant, I have spoken with several people who were unaware of the presence of the toxic waste from the East Palestine train derailment. They also did not know about the methane plant prior to its construction. This is concerning that people did not know about these things. While you believe that the data center may have less impact than the existing industrial sites, information from the U.S. Department of Energy indicates that the data center will leave a significant carbon footprint. It does concern me how much pollution comes from the methane plant. It can produce up to 15 tons of carbon dioxide annually, which is equivalent to 326,087 cars, gas-powered automobiles, which is a lot of pollution. That our elected officials, who are supposed to have our best interests, have allowed to come into our city. A data center the size that is projected to be built here will produce 2 million tons of carbon dioxide a year, which is equivalent to 430,000 gas-powered automobiles. It would also produce 400 tons of nitrogen oxide per year. However, if they go with diesel generators, which they have talked about, to power the data center, it will create 3 million tons per year of carbon dioxide, equivalent to 652,174 gas-powered cars, plus 10,000 tons of nitrogen oxide. This is according to the U.S. Department of Energy that provides data for hyperscale data centers, inside climate news, and reporting from Channel 11. Why do our elected officials want to add so much more pollution to our already polluted and fragile ecosystem?
Next, we have Gary Thompson. And Mr. Thompson, just a reminder, name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. The name is Gary Thompson. The address for home is 5808 Seaman Road here in Oregon. Work address is 2 Maritime Plaza, Toledo, Ohio. I'm here tonight, council and mayor, as a guest of Will Turner, who asked me to point out a few facts because of lots of inaccurate social media posts regarding his proffer for Oregon City Schools and Toledo Public Schools. So a proffer is a negotiation or something a developer or a project may offer a community. Most times, those are offered when a project impacts a community through a change in zoning, a rerouting of a road, a freeway, off-ramp, all those kinds of things. And because the project is causing something to change in your community, they want to offset that with a equal benefit. It's a normal process of economic development. Will Turner is offering Oregon City Schools Career and Technical Education Program, of which I know a little bit about. My wife taught there for 14 years. They have plenty of programs. They don't have to start new programs. I believe Becky Bin, the director of that program, was involved in kind of drumming up a rough estimate. But that money is separate from any EDA agreement with the city. That money is offered to Oregon City Schools because Will Turner not only wants to support the communities in which he does business, but he's also working with the RGP on a very large and exciting opportunity to bring more manufacturing to our region, manufacturing surrounded around data center equipment, around electrical manufacturing equipment, because we need to improve our grid. And those jobs, in order to win those types of manufacturing projects here in Northwest Ohio, we need more people with electrical skills. So he's investing in the very jobs of the future with that gift to Oregon City Schools. That gift is completely separate from anything that the city would garner in their deal with Capacity LLC. And finally, one other thing that Will Turner heard loud and clear is that wetlands and parks are very important, and it hasn't gotten much press, but he's also offered to build a nature park, increasing wetlands here in Oregon, providing a bird sanctuary, interacting with Pearson North as well to make sure this is all done in an appropriate, environmentally and sustainable way. So those are just the issues that Will asked me to address tonight before you. So I appreciate you being here, appreciate the time, and look forward to talking to you more soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Mr. President,
Mr. Gibbs.
can I ask a question
You can.
for Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Thompson, are you open to taking a question? Sure. Go ahead.
Is that gift to Oregon City Schools contingent upon the data center being built?
That gift is contingent upon closing of the data center. Why? So again, let me reiterate something in plain English. Capacity LLC wants to support the communities in which it does business, just like every other business here in Oregon and throughout the region. Anybody that's been to a charity event, look at the back of the t-shirt that you get, okay? Not many businesses make donations to communities where they don't have a presence. So you can, many in the audience have said, oh, it comes with strings. I think it comes with common sense. Hey, if I do business here, I want to support the community and the school district that I'm a part of. You want to call it a string? You can call it a string, but I don't think that's accurate representation of what's happening. If that's true, then Mercy Health provides strings, Synovus Refineries provides strings, PBF provides strings, Tesco provides strings. I can keep going down the list. Oregon businesses support the Oregon community. And when Capacity LLC does business in Oregon, it intends to support the community as well.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Very good. We have Joe Basham. Again, name and address for the record, please.
Joe Basham, 7816 Cedar Point Road. Let's talk about something no one seems to want to talk about. For the last couple of years, the top people in the field of AI are not even trying to hide the long-term goal of AI data centers. But are you listening? They want to invest $1 trillion to build data centers all over the United States with the goal of selling artificial intelligence to companies all over the country to make them more efficient. And their definition of efficiency is the loss of millions and millions of jobs. Let's talk about if you allow them to build an AI data center in Oregon. We don't know for sure, but what local employers do you think would be interested in becoming a customer of the Oregon AI data center to make their company more efficient? Possibilities are endless, but the ones that come to the top of my head are Oregon Refinery, Toledo Refinery, Jeep, Hydromatic, to name a few. Artificial intelligence is here to stay, but remember there are two major functions of a company to be successful. You have to make a product, then you have to deliver your product. If you don't let them build the data center, they can't deliver their product. One thing I think we can all agree on is if you're going to let a company come into Oregon, make sure it's going to be a company that is going to create jobs, not eliminate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody's comments this evening. We will move into the items on our agenda for this evening. First item is a public hearing. And public hearing for a renewal, I will open the public hearing at 7:36. And it is a renewal application for an agricultural district for Jack Karstensen for 2.73 acres located at 3980 Brown Road R and 9.37 acres located at 3960 Brown Road R. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of the ordinance? Please.
William Karstensen here on behalf of Jack Karstensen. There are actually 3 parcels there. They're all contiguous. They're all farmed together as a continuous parcel. They're separated by 3 because there's actually 2 applications, one for about 2 acres, and a parcel with 9 acres, totaling about 11 acres. Parcels have to be 10 acres or $2,500 in income. The parcel in the name of Jack Karstensen, the 2 parcels are total over 12 acres, and therefore they automatically qualify for the Ag District approval. The 3rd parcel is actually a parcel where the home site is located. Property's been in the family for generations. It got divided up by Jack's grandmother, and the parcel where the house is located, it's about a 9-acre parcel. It's necessary to take off 1 acre for the home site, so you've got about 8 acres total. That does not qualify for the 10-acre automatic exemption. The second part, you look to see if there's $2,500 of income on that parcel, and based upon the harvest, it's been somewhere between 35 and 40 bushel an acre, at somewhere between $10 and $12 a bushel, probably somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 profit or income on that 8-acre parcel. So that also should qualify. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of the reason for the 3 parcels. Probably on the next time to renew this, if we're all still around, it'll all be combined. It'll all be one 20-acre parcel in the name of Jack and Barb, or maybe their heirs. We'll see what happens. So I just appreciate it. Opportunity to talk to you. If there's any questions, be more than happy to respond. But other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Karstensen. Is there anybody else to speak in favor? Hearing none, is there anybody to speak against? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:39 p.m. I will assign item 43 of 2026 as ordinance 43 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Approving inclusion of certain land situated in the city of Oregon, Ohio, owned by Jack Karstensen into an agricultural district for a 5-year period and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Polliff.
I move for passage of ordinance 43 as an emergent, or 43, 2026 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mrs. Polliff.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Gibbs. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. We have a motion by Mrs. Polliff, seconded by Mr. Gibbs for passage of ordinance 43 of 2026. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Polloff?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes. Thank you, council. That ordinance does pass with a vote of 5 yes, 0 against. Next public hearing, I will open the public hearing at 7:40 PM. And this is a public hearing for a renewal application for an agricultural district for Oregon on the Bay Regional Economic Development Foundation for 20 acres located at 4250 Corduroy Road. I'll open by asking, is there anybody here to speak in favor? Anybody here to speak against? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:40, we'll call it 1 PM. I will assign, council, any questions on item 44? I will assign item 44 of 2026 as ordinance 44 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Approving inclusion of certain lands situated in the city of Oregon, Ohio, owned by Oregon on the Bay Regional Economic Development Foundation into an agricultural district for a 5-year period and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President,
Ms. Polliff.
I move for passage of ordinance 44 of 2026 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Ms. Polliff.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Motion by Mrs. Polliff, seconded by Mr. Gibbs for approval of ordinance 44 of 2026. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Polloff?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes. Thank you, council. Ordinance 44 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 5 yeas, 0 nays. Moving on to our next public hearing. I will open the public hearing at 7:42. This is a renewal application for an agricultural district for Jack D. and Barbara K. Carsonson for 9.571 acres located at 3960 Brown Road. I would ask, is there anybody to speak in favor? I think you're good. You're covered if you want to.
I would just point out that's the smaller
That's the
parcel
third
where the
parcel.
home is located, but it should qualify as 8 acres, somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 in income.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Carsonson. Anybody else to speak in favor? Hearing none, anybody to speak against? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:42 PM. I will assign item 45 of 2026 as ordinance 45 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Approving inclusion of certain land situated in the city of Oregon, Ohio, owned by Jack D. and Barbara K. Carsonson into an agricultural district for a 5-year period and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council?
Mr. President,
Ms. Polliff.
I move for passage of ordinance 45 of 2026 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Ms. Polliff.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. We have a motion by Ms. Polliff, seconded by Mr. Gibbs for ordinance 45 of 2026. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Polloff?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes. Thank you, council. Item 40, or ordinance 45 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 5 yeas, 0 nays. Last one we have for the evening is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing at 7:43 PM. And this is a public hearing for a renewal application for an agricultural district for Paul and Tricia Soltez et al. For 3.907 acres located at 5135 Star Avenue and 5 acres located at 5115 Star Avenue. I will ask, is there anybody here to speak in favor? Is there anybody to speak against? Hearing none, I will close the public meeting at 7:44 PM. Council, are there any questions on item 46? Hearing none, I will assign item 46 of 2026 as ordinance 46 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Approving inclusion of certain land situated in the city of Oregon, owned by Paul and Tricia Soltez et al. Into an agricultural district for a 5-year period and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council?
Mr. President,
Ms. Polliff.
I move for passage of ordinance 46 of 2026 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Ms. Polliff.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. We have a motion by Mrs. Powell, seconded by Mr. Gibbs for ordinance 46 of 2026. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Palloff?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes. Thank you, council. Ordinance 46 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 5 yeas, 0 nays. Next item we have on the agenda is item 41, which is being presented for its second reading, and I'll turn this over to the administration. Mr. Roman or Mr. Mayor, anything to add in its second reading? Okay. I believe we've fulfilled our obligation for a second reading to that. We will move on. We have items 47, 48, and 49. Those I'll need a motion to add those to tonight's agenda. Council?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Motion by Ms. Pauloff, seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, items 47, 48, and 49 are moved to the evening's agenda. I do believe that you do. We're going to back up to item 041 of 2026. We do want Ms. Snyder to read that into the record so there is an official reading of the item number. Ms. Snyder.
Updating the comprehensive master plan for the city of Oregon, Ohio.
Thank you. Now moving forward, we have item 47 of 2026 presented by Mayor Salander and Acting Public Service Director Rodney Schultz. Mr. Schultz.
Yes, thank you, President. This ordinance is necessary to award the construction contract for the Star Avenue reconstruction and resurfacing project. The city opened bids on February 3rd and received 5 bids, with the lowest bid of $1,398,090.10 submitted by Henry W. Bergman, as detailed in the bid tab attached as Exhibit A. The project includes a 3-inch asphalt mill and overlay on Star Avenue from Earlwood Avenue to Whittlesea and on Wheeling Street from Northvale to Randall Drive. The work will also include spot asphalt repairs, 88 curb ramp upgrades, and pavement striping. In addition, the section of Star Avenue from the west corporate limit to Earlwood will be fully reconstructed. This portion of the roadway contains an old concrete pavement beneath the existing asphalt that must be completely removed and replaced. The reconstruction work will require an approximate 3-week road closure to remove the existing pavement, install new stone base, replace storm sewers and inlets, install under drains, construct curbs, and place new asphalt. There is a map in the packet that kind of shows the project limits if anybody's interested. The project work will begin no earlier than July and is expected to be completed by the end of October. The city did secure a $500,000 federal grant through ODOT and a $600,000 grant through the Ohio Public Works Commission to help offset the overall cost of the project. This project was designed in-house by our engineering department, and we plan to also oversee the construction of the project. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Council, any questions on item 47? Hearing none, I will assign item 47 of 2026 as ordinance 47 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Accepting the bid of Henry W. Bergman Incorporated, 218 East 9th Street, Genoa, Ohio, for furnishing labor, materials, and equipment for the Star Avenue reconstruction, resurfacing LUC CR 555 1.02 PID 117122 project, and authorizing the mayor, director of public service, and finance director to enter into a contract with said contractor.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President,
Ms. Pauloff.
I move for passage of ordinance 47 of 2026.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
I'll second it. Ooh.
Oh, we're going to break in somebody new. Ms. Ackerman, thank you.
No, Mr. Gibbs.
Nice to hear a different voice. No offense, Mr. Gibbs.
That's all right.
We have a motion by Ms. Pauloff, seconded by Ms. Ackerman for ordinance 47 of 2026. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Palloff?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes. Thank you, Council. Ordinance 47 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 5 yeas and 0 nays. Moving on to item 48 of 2026, again presented by Mayor Salander and Acting Public Service Director Rodney Schultz. Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance is needed to authorize a purchase order to be issued to the McLean Company in the amount of $68,645 for the purchase of a 6-ton Falcon asphalt hot box diesel recycler to be used in our water distribution department as detailed in Exhibit A of the agenda. Pricing for this equipment was obtained through a federal Sourcewell contract. Per the inter-office memo from Mary Wolf, this equipment will be used to replace asphalt pavement that's been removed when we've done water line repairs and different things throughout the year. because many of the repairs are relatively small, the hot box allows us to get the asphalt, keep it warm, and be able to go to different spots throughout the day, and do it more efficiently. It also enables our crews to maybe go and get the material the day before if the asphalt plant isn't gonna be making that material the next day. Also, that way we can start the day out right away and get moving on the work. There was a line item, this was budgeted in the 2026 CIP budget, and the reason for the emergency is to allow us to get the equipment ordered, and that way we can get it, using it here once the asphalt plants open up. So happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Council, any questions on item 48? Hearing none, I will assign item 48 of 2026 as ordinance 48 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to issue a purchase order to the McLean Company, 6681 Chittenden Road, Hudson, Ohio, for the purchase of a new 6-ton Falcon asphalt hot box and diesel recycler model 6T2BD to be used by the Water Distribution Division in the Department of Public Service for an amount not to exceed $68,645 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President,
Ms. Paulo.
I move for passage of ordinance 48 of 2026 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Ms. Paulo.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Sackerman. Thank you, Ms. Sackerman. We have a motion by Ms. Paulo, seconded by Ms. Sackerman for ordinance 48 of 2026. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes. Thank you, council. Ordinance 48 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 5 yeas and 0 nays. Moving on, we have item 49 of 2026, presented by Mayor Salander and IT Director Ken Meister. Mr. Meister, we'll go to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance is for applying to a Cyber Ohio Round 3 state and local cybersecurity grant to help with the migration of our website and email from OregonOhio.org to OregonOhio.gov. The grant provides up to $9,500 in reimbursement with a 20% local match to cover the costs. It will improve cybersecurity, strengthen public trust due to the fact that it's .gov, which has a much more stringent verification process, and also align with more modern security practices for a city of our size. It's an emergency due to the fact that I only learned about this in mid to late February, and the application deadline is this Friday. So, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Meister. Council, any questions on item 49? Hearing none, I will assign item 49 of 2026 as ordinance 49 of 2026 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Authorizing the City of Oregon, Ohio to apply for and accept Round 3 State and Local Cybersecurity Grant Program SLCGP funds for migration from OregonOhio.org to OregonOhio.gov and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council?
Mr. President,
Ms. Paulo.
I move for passage of ordinance 49 of 2026 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Ms. Paulo.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. We have a motion by Ms. Paulo, seconded by Mr. Gibbs for ordinance 49 of 2026. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes. Thank you, council. Ordinance 49 of 2026 does pass with a vote of 5 yeas and 0 nays. Being all the agenda items we have for this evening, we'll move on to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few things. One, I was not able to join the count a few of the government people and such, and Mr. Roman to New Albany the other day. I forget which day it was, last Wednesday, I think, or Tuesday. Anyway, so instead I made my own trip this weekend on my own dime to go down to New Albany to pay a visit to the beautiful data centers. So I did get a chance to drive around the Meta area there and got some information from there. I'll just leave it at that for right now. But you made a very valid point, though, that to go in different times of the year when you have the different, the summer and that, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even think of that. So thank you for bringing that up, and I will do just that, whether it be New Albany or whether it be another location, maybe try some other locations too, just to get some compare and contrast. But that's a great suggestion, so thank you for that. So I will be doing that. Secondly, this last Sunday, we had we'll call it a community cleanup. We did some spring cleaning here with the city of Oregon. And it was a great time. Went very well. And I wanted to thank Andrea Beard and Paul Roman and Paul Gibbs and Beth Ackerman, and also one of our interns, Kiera, and her mom came out. Another gentleman, George is his name, from my church group that normally did the trash pickups, that all joined us out there. We spent a little over 3 hours cleaning up at the area of St. Paul's Church over there by Kroger, Coy, and Wheeling. And so we also, through that though, we're able to also to gather some data from that by what type of trash and where we were finding this different trash, so that we can work forward and work towards a solution, or at least something to minimize the issue. And I do want to commend Mr. Roman on that too, and Andrea, everybody, just Rodney, working on this also for some different ideas. We're looking at some different fencing and talking about some of their dumpsters back behind Kroger and so forth. So we're moving forward on that, and I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that because I think we can all agree that that area and around Navarre also, that it didn't look so good. And as we're trying to build a better city and a more beautiful city and attract people to the city, doing that is going to definitely help. And as we're doing the town center, we want it to look nice. And so I'm really excited about that. So, and I have to say, I was sitting here, I realized I'm using a pen called Bottle to Pen. And I was thinking, well, I found a lot of possibilities for some more pens on Sunday. So, but thank you for everybody who did show up and took part in that, and for who organized it and everything. We'll have more. The one last thing I want to say on that is that also no city money was spent for that either. It's all covered by the Clean Our Streams. They get grants for that to be able to cover our supplies and so forth for being out there. So, and it actually helps the city for us to be able to get more grants to be able to do that. And it helps us to be able to find the data to figure out, what's happening and where it's happening and to make it better. And I said one more, but one more. Andrea was talking with me a little bit about, and us out there too, a little bit about the reason for the data. There's a little catch basin, if you were, a little water area in front of Lucky's there that they had cleaned up before, and they came to find out that there were a bunch of the mint wrappers that you get after you eat. And so noticing that, they went in, they talked to Lucky's, and they explained to them about what they were finding and asked if they could change perhaps in how they're doing their mints so that people weren't walking out and either dropping them by accident or tossing them. And they did. They changed how they did it, and it drastically improved the trash in that area also. So it's a great thing, and we're moving towards that. And again, I'm very excited about that and very grateful to the other members of the city and administration working on that. We're getting better. I like it. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Salander. Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to comment to Connie's statements earlier on our field trip. It was done with a phone app, and I can tell you we only had one point in which we were able to get out and listen to a building. We were actually in a parking lot. The building itself was probably 40 feet away from the line, and I didn't hear anything, and that's why I had the 50. But I can tell you in the fall, this last fall in 25, myself and the engineers coming back from an engineering conference, and we went to the MATA data center, and those readings were closer to 60 decibels. I was a lot closer. I was just right on the outside, right along the right-of-way when I took those readings. And what's interesting, same phone app, but when you stood there, if a truck went by, it'd go up to 75 decibels, So really the best time to go there to get sound readings is like 3 in the morning. Honestly, I think when there are no other trucks or lawnmowers or other noises, that'd be the time to really check things out. But what's interesting is after that trip in the fall, I came back to Oregon, and I drove everywhere with that same phone app. And if you go to the parking lot of Walleye Energy and you sit in that parking lot, I had a constant 75 decibels the whole time. If you go to the natural gas power plant, it's quiet. It's like 38 decibels. It's crazy the difference noises that you have, and you just don't realize it. And clearly trucks, if you stand at a right-of-way, trucks are going to be at 75 decibels, easy. So, but all with the same phone app. So Yeah, it's not exactly the same as a noise instrument, but I was consistent. So it's just interesting. Just each data center was different. Some of the, what's so odd is they had brand-new subdivisions up against some of the older data centers, but, you know, maybe they're quieter. I don't know. So anyways, I just wanted to respond. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Briefly.
No, I did not. Okay, and that's like the missing link. Yep, I did.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Schultz?
No report, Mr. President.
Ms. Pfeiffer?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Pfeiffer. Mrs. Polloff?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Polloff. Ms. Sacrament?
I did not go to New Albany on the planned trip. I want to apologize to the Tredells and to Esther Semnicki, or if I butchered her name. It was not the City of Oregon that dropped the ball in not informing you in a timely manner that when it was to be. And I was pretty upset about you not knowing about it, you being, but I just want you to know. I'm really sorry that that's what happened, that you were not informed, but it was not on our end at the city here. So, but still, I feel bad that you did not know. I did attend Senator Hicks Hudson's conversation, as she referred to it, on data centers downtown at the main library, and it was a panel of, it was just a very one-sided conversation. I know there were several people that gave questions to be asked. You had to write your questions down and then submit them, and then they selected which ones they did respond to. And there were some very serious, afterward I found there were some very, very important questions that did not get answered. And hopefully that's just gonna, the first of many in an ongoing conversation that hopefully will be, you know, cover all aspects. I did go to a Ohio Farm Bureau meeting at Wood County Fairgrounds on data center energy, and that was very informative. And I'm still waiting to get the slides from that so I can share more of that information with everyone. One thing that I wanted to catch Mr. Thompson to ask him, he made the comment at the Paula Hicks Hudson, Senator Hicks Hudson's conference that you won't know by it going to a data center what would be coming to your area. So you can go visit all the data centers you want, but it's like, until we know what is actually proposed for ours, you know, you can visit all of them. But he was very specifically said that's not going to indicate what you're going to get in your area. So till we know apples for apples, what we would actually be looking at, we're just guessing. I do want to say that the biggest week in American birding is coming up, and for once, I'm asking council and the administration to, hopefully we can have a resolution, a proclamation, I'm not sure what's the appropriate thing, to acknowledge the impact that has on our city, if not being part of that flyway and that migratory route and being able to be in it, but the economic input from that is huge. I was telling Mayor Salander, Destination Toledo is a sponsor, and they have to go through us to get to Toledo. So I know they're filling up our hotels the week before, the week of, and into the week after in May. So I'm hoping that we can go on record as actually supportive of it. I'm excited about that. I think it's time we acknowledge what they bring to our community economically, if nothing else. And America 250, does anybody want to? Is anybody going to talk about that? We had a meeting today, or do you want me to?
I don't want to take away your thunder. I was there, but.
Oh yeah, well if you want to, no, if you want to share.
Well, just you know, I am excited for American 250. I think the picnic for Flag Day, June 14th, out of Social Park, is definitely coming along. quite a bit, planning for a 5K race, and I know for a golf cart parade, and I think with the food and everything else that's planned, it is very exciting. And the July 2nd Independence Day celebration is also coming along, and also excited for that. It'll be July 2nd at the German American Fairgrounds. And we're still working on details for that, but you can add anything that I missed.
I just wanted to say, I think our rec department, Tim Borton and Hank Fox are on the ball, and our committee is, everybody's got their tasks, and we had the Exchange Club was there today, and they're going to have a display available. We asked if they would consider us for it, but it's going to have 26 historic flags displayed for the history, and so it'd be nice if they do that. It'd be nice if they do it for both the picnic and on July 2nd, being it's the 250th. So I think anyone, and obviously, it's quite expensive, and they are looking for donations and sponsorship. If any businesses or individuals would be interested, I have information, just reach out to me. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Ackerman. Mr. Andrews.
Mr. President, as chairman of Drainage, Buildings, Roads, and Lands, I would like to call a committee meeting to be held a week from today before the Council of the Whole meeting. And the purpose of the meeting is to discuss road program, ODOT grant funding for several pedestrian and bikeway projects, and various sidewalk-related items.
Very good, thank you. So noted, Ms. Snyder, if you would update and put on. Okay,
Excuse me, is that
very
next
good.
week?
Ms. Paulo?
That's 1 week from today?
So you're going to do on the 16th?
Right, the
Yep, March
16th.
16th?
March
Feb-
16th. Thank
6
you.
PM?
Yes, it would be a week from today.
Okay.
You're correct.
Yep. Monday, March 16th, 6 PM, expected in council chambers. Fair enough?
Correct.
Very good.
And
Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Mr. President, if I
Yes,
could
please.
continue.
Yes.
I noticed that we do have some road projects coming up, and I have had a conversation with Acting Service Director Rodney. I am a land surveyor, and land surveying is deeply rooted in history, and the lands that were Oregon were surveyed by government surveyors in 1820, 1827, and 1834. At a time when our city was in Michigan territory, but that's another longer story. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. We are in the Michigan survey. As those corners were established so long ago, they control all the property rights. They control right-of-ways. They control so much. And over time, the Lucas County or the county engineers were responsible for maintaining those corners. A county engineer has to be an engineer, and they have to be a land surveyor together. So anything out in Jerusalem Township is under the jurisdiction of the Lucas County engineer. Since the city of Oregon is a city, technically the county engineer has no jurisdiction for the preservation of survey corners within the city limits. Although they do have a great deal of information, and I as a private surveyor share information with the county and give them information so that these corners can be preserved. A lot of corners in Oregon have been lost to different road projects. And I'm probably going to want to sit down with Acting Service Director Rodney and his people. And as these projects move forward, I'd like to make them aware of these corners. They were established an awfully long time ago, and everybody sitting in this room has their property rights tied to those. They need to be maintained. So I will get together Acting Director Schultz so that we can at least have a conversation. And now that I'm seeing everything that's coming forward here, I will be also looking out for these corners and working with you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Mr. Gibbs.
Oh, Mr. President, I have a few things here.
Okay.
Nothing from my standing committee report. But as we all had the opportunity to attend a very well-presented water main open house at our Eisenhower Intermediate School. I believe all the information there at the presentation was explained well, and anyone that had questions could receive their answers at that time or find out where they could get the information that they were looking for at toledo20.com/raw-water-main. You can look that up. It's there. A lot of good information there. But they did really well presenting that project, and I was really impressed. But it doesn't take much to impress me. Also, I'd like to thank the community for allowing me to attend an all-day seminar in the Cleveland, Ohio area for newly elected officials presented by the Ohio Municipal League. All classes were presented by very knowledgeable professionals and law firms that will keep your head spinning for the rest of your life. I would encourage people to run for office and be prepared to better understand why and how government works. It's pretty complicated. Moving on to a statement that was shared on social media about I quote this, "I'm not convinced that Paul J. Gibbs Sr. even knows where he's at half the time." Boy, I'm really glad he didn't say all the time. However, I did appreciate him opening the door for a meeting and an opportunity to talk and find some common ground. And I appreciate anybody that wants to talk about, you know, things pertaining to the city or things pertaining to me, to reach out to me, because I'll be glad to talk with you and have coffee with you. Now for the hot topic, data centers. End users. Senator Josh Hawley and retired NFL quarterback Tim Tebow, who established the Tim Tebow Foundation, focusing on faith, hope, and love for vulnerable children, including initiatives against human trafficking. So here he is testifying at the Senate hearing on child trafficking. He mentioned this woman. I was watching this on YouTube, and you can go on YouTube and follow all this. It's a big concern now, huge concern. We should all be aware of it. He mentioned this woman he met that deals with this, and he asked her, "What is breaking your heart?" She writes down a number, 20,000, and he says, 20,000 what? She says 20,000 boys and girls is the best guess that law enforcement can see in rape and abuse images, and yet they are categorized as unknown or unidentified. And if you do a little bit more research, that number has grown to up over 89,000. And who knows the actual number, really. What does this have to do with data centers? Whether a data center is built here in Oregon or not, we have to get an agreement in writing from the end user that they will not allow any of their servers, customers, whatever you call them, to not allow them to do business with the porn industry in our community. We don't want a data center being here that's a library for porn. No data centers in our community. No data porn centers in our community. We have to protect our children. And the reason I put all this in writing and read it is so if somebody questions what I said, I do have it in writing. So thank you for listening to that, and it should be a concern to all of us, what we're bringing into our area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. And I have no report from my standing committee. Council, is there anything else additional anybody wants to bring forward? Okay, we'll grant you, how about 3 minutes? I already blew my 35-minute timer, so. Go ahead, name and address for the record.
Bill Myers, 6810 Cedar Point Road. I want to thank you for passing the Ag District for our land weeks ago. I greatly appreciate it, and I respect that policy that's in there. Okay, data centers. My biggest fear and understanding from what I've studied with data centers is you get this big warehouse, and yes, there's construction jobs, yes, there's building trades, all do their things, but this isn't a factory, this isn't a Jeep, this isn't a Hydromatic, there's not gonna be the tax revenue. If we don't change the way you tax this particular business, the city is gonna come out on the short end. I fear that in my heart, that if there isn't, you have to tax something like this on their infrastructure use, their water use, their electricity use, there has to be another avenue of how you tax this to generate the income tax you're not gonna get from people working there. That's a fact. That's my biggest fear of how this is being done. I have no idea what kind of deals are being made, but you better sharpen your pencil and understand that's an important one. Like most of the people in this room, I don't support any construction, commercial development east of Wynn Road either. That just interferes with my income. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. I'll go ahead. And what I would say is, and I'll just speak briefly to it as well, is in the Economic Development Agreement, there's been discussion over months and months and months about being a mega project and how you can monetize different things within that. There's already, I'll say, a significant amount of thought that's gone into how does the city protect itself from what I believe will be the eventual change of taxation at the state level, which will find a loophole to not make them taxable like they did the refineries almost 20 years ago. So the idea is to, how do we make sure that Oregon is made whole no matter what happens with the taxes? So we talk about payment in lieu of taxes, pilots as we call them. We're approaching it more from a service angle so that it's a replacement, but we can still monetize that as a city and as a school district, regardless of the number of jobs that are there and tied to different things besides just the building or the trades or usage. So that'll keep evolving as we go, and we've got experts on our side of the table that are working through that agreement as well. So we will try to be mindful as well, and certainly we'll take all suggestions and ideas as we proceed with that. So thank you, Mr. Myers. All right. Council, having nothing further before us, I need to set the following public hearings for Monday, March 23rd of 2026 at 7 p.m. The first is for a renewal application for an agricultural district for Beth Ackerman for 13.78 acres located at 6950 Brown Road. The second hearing for that evening will be a renewal application for an agricultural district for Gary L. and Linda S. Zunk for 29 acres located at 6141 Corduroy Road. That's all I have for this, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Any objections? Meeting is adjourned.